From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordo, and this is your News 8 Daily for Tuesday, March 17th. It is St. Patrick's Day, and it does not feel anything like it. It is freezing outside. My drive in this morning, there was so much snow, and it's just a bitter start. Honestly, it doesn't feel good at all. And the highs aren't going to make it out of the 20s for some locations much of today. Isolated snow is possible. Nothing crazy, but a little bit like what we had yesterday. Tonight, we're going to track another system that's going to bring in a snow chance into tomorrow morning. Then the wind shift. We're going to finally, in the next few days, warm up. But today, bundle up. It is a chilly one. CEOs from the country's top airlines are asking Congress to restore funding to the Department of Homeland Security as a partial government shutdown enters its second month. The CEOs of American, Delta, Southwest, and JetBlue Airlines are among those making that request. TSA agents began missing paychecks last week due to the funding lapse. The Republican majority in Congress is refusing to go along with demands from Democrats that Homeland Security funding include new restrictions on immigration agents. Federal agents killed at least 4 people since last December, including 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis in January. Now, hundreds of TSA agents have quit across the country because of the ongoing shutdown, and the impact is being felt now that spring break travel season is here. So far this morning, 10 flights are canceled and 10 flights are delayed at the Indianapolis airport. News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist went there to see the impact on people traveling and on workers.
The TSA union here in Indianapolis tells me things are still running smoothly so far, but they say if the shutdown goes much longer, they might start losing even more people. Alfredo Ojeda is flying back to San Antonio. He says he has not had any security delays so far.
I guess I'm moderately concerned. It's just sad that they can't come to negotiations and protect Americans and people that go through the airports, but yet, like I said, they have money to go fight a war.
These TSA agents have now missed an entire paycheck due to the Department of Homeland Security shutdown. Officials consider almost everyone at DHS essential, so they have to work without pay.
When you finally, you don't see that check come in and you don't see any movement within the passing of the funding, that's when the morale really starts to hit. That's when things really start to get a little bit more stressful.
DHS officials say more than 300 TSA agents have quit nationwide since the shutdown began 1 month ago. That's out of a workforce of about 65,000. Smith told me last week about half a dozen agents have quit at the Indianapolis airport. At times, as many as half a dozen more agents called in sick. Smith says that's 2 to 3 times more than usual.
We're here. We're dedicated. We want to be here. We would just like to receive our pay.
Staffing shortages have led to long security lines at some large airports, such as Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. Ojeda says none of his family or friends report any issues in their travels. But he says he thinks Congress should fund ICE separately from the TSA.
We shouldn't have to go through this because of something else like ICE. We should be protected.
Airport officials say you should check with your airline ahead of time in case the shutdown causes any other disruptions at other airports on your journey. At Indianapolis International Airport, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Breaking news, police say 2 people are hurt after a shooting on the northeast side of Indianapolis. IMPD says officers were called at around 1:15 this morning to an apartment complex on the Flats Way near 46th and Keystone. That's just northeast of the state fairgrounds. Officers found one shooting victim at the scene and say that person was taken to Eskenazi Hospital. Police say another person was shot in the chest and was later dropped off at Methodist Hospital. Investigators have not given a condition for either person and have not said what may have led up to the gunfire. In Crawfordsville, we're working to see when prosecutors might file charges against 4 people after police say they tried to steal an ATM and then led police on a chase. We have pictures from the city of Crawfordsville. They're on wishtv.com. Police say the suspects used a pickup truck that had been reported stolen to pull the ATM from its concrete base early Sunday Sunday morning at the Fountain Trust Bank on Main Street in Crawfordsville. Investigators say that the would-be thieves were not able to actually take any cash or steal it, and then they took off in a second vehicle that crashed near I-74. Police say the four tried to run but were caught. Investigators say one of the four suspects is under 18 years old. As the Metropolitan Development Commission gets set to vote on a proposed data center in Decatur Township, one member of the City County Council predicts it will gain approval, despite loud public opposition to the idea. The Sabi Data Centers of Seattle wants to build the facility along Canby Road near Kentucky Avenue. Republican Council member Josh Bain represents the area and says that the center would generate a hefty amount of tax revenue.
I think right now that 130 acres produces $16,000 a year in tax revenue. The projected tax revenue on this is $22 million a year. So yeah, it's a massive impact to our community. I think the thing that we have to be careful of is the fact that there is no local zoning ordinance for data centers right now. I know the city is working on that.
Some people who live near that area, though, say they're worried about the noise and pollution from a data center. But the company says it's designing the facility to prevent water pollution in the area. The Metropolitan Development Commission is set to vote on the proposal at its 1 p.m. meeting tomorrow afternoon at the City County building. The Indianapolis Zoo is set to be under new leadership after its president and CEO decided to step down. Rob Shoemaker made that announcement in a release that the zoo sent to staff yesterday. Shoemaker took a leave of absence in February. In his statement, Shoemaker says his leave of absence allowed him to make some personal decisions. Last year, he was bitten by a chimpanzee at the zoo. Shoemaker worked at the zoo for more than 16 years. There's no word yet on who will replace him, but the zoo did previously promote John Gullion to COO as Shoemaker took his leave of absence. IU Health has awarded $3.7 million in grants to 4 community organizations working to improve infant and maternal health across the state. Grant recipients include Cradle Indy, Healing Hands Outreach Center, and Transformed Birth Services, and United Daycare of Delaware County. The funding will support the programs expanding access to care, child care, and maternal resources. IU Health has given out more than $41 million in grants since 2018. A federal judge has blocked efforts to change U.S. vaccine policy. The judge says the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention decision, the CDC, its decision to overhaul the U.S. vaccine schedule did not follow proper legal channels. The judge also says members of the medical association that sued the government were harmed by the changes. Okay, check your fridge. Costco says it's recalling its ready-to-eat meatloaf kits that were sold in Indiana and 25 other states. Take a look at wishtv.com. It's the meatloaf with mashed Yukon potatoes and glaze. Costco is pulling it. The company says it's due to salmonella concerns. Costco has not specified which ingredients are linked to the possible contamination. So here's how to know if you have a recalled meal kit. The recall kit has a product number of 30783, and it was sold between March 2nd and March 13th. It has a sell-by date from March 5th through March 16th. Costco says you can return the meal kit for a full refund. Okay, now to the conflict in Iran. The Trump administration is trying to rally support to help keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through the strait, and shipping traffic through the strait has seen disruptions since the conflict. Colin Jeffrey has more.
They have been literally obliterated.
That is how President Trump described Iran's military capabilities Monday afternoon. But the Strait of Hormuz remains too dangerous for most shipping because of Iranian threats. Now Trump is asking countries for help to reopen the vital waterway. Germany's foreign minister said Monday that NATO has no plans to get involved.
I don't see that NATO has made any decision in this direction or could assume responsibility for the Strait of Hormuz.
Beijing has not publicly confirmed receiving any requests for assistance from the U.S. to secure the strait. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt reiterated Trump's calls for help.
I think the president is absolutely right to call on these countries to do more to help the United States to reopen the Strait of Hormuz so that we can stop this terrorist regime from restricting the free flow of energy.
Trump says he has received commitments for assistance and will name those countries in question, quote, soon.
Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. and the level of enthusiasm matters to me.
I'm Colin Jeffrey reporting.
Shipping disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz are causing fertilizer prices to climb. That could seriously impact farmers as they get ready for spring planting. Michael Yoshida explains how it could impact grocery prices, too.
If we miss that window, we could have catastrophic crop failure.
Alarm bells sounding over disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and the potential impact to American farmers.
Worst case scenario, a grower may not be able to get a crop in the ground. And of course, that's going to lead to food security conversations.
The waterway is critical for transporting supplies needed to make fertilizers, as well as the finished products, including about half the world's supply of urea, a nitrogen fertilizer for crops like corn. Also, about a third of global exports of ammonia, key for most nitrogen fertilizers, and sulfur, another vital nutrient for crops. Shipments that have essentially stopped since the war.
With the closure of that strait, it's lifted prices here in the United States by several $100s per ton. So that immediately squeezes farmers' bottom line.
I've not seen this level of disruption before. Urea prices are up 50% since that Friday before.
According to the Fertilizer Institute, the U.S. imports about 35% of its fertilizer needs every year, with supplies often arriving just in time for use.
I'm told we still need to import about 25% of our need for March, April, May application.
Now, spiked costs and already low crop prices could lead to tough decisions.
We'll have to adapt either to plant a different crop that uses less fertilizer or potentially reduce the amount of fertilizer that they use, which could have an impact on crop yields and ultimately prices.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
The Trump administration is ordering a controversial offshore oil operation in California to reopen. Sites located off the coast of Santa Barbara, the pipeline ruptured in 2015, spilling nearly 3,000 barrels of oil into the Pacific. The governor of California says reopening the pipeline is illegal because multiple court orders have forbidden restarting it. The Department of Energy says the order will address supply disruption risks and reduce reliance on foreign oil. The nation of Cuba is facing an island-wide blackout after its electrical grid suffered a possible total collapse. The country's power operator says it's working to restore the power across the island. Nationwide, though, power outages have been frequently reported over the past few years. The Cuban government is blaming the outages on U.S. oil embargo on the country. The country's aging electrical grid relies on oil for electricity generation. Okay, sports now. Butler University says it will conduct a national search for its next men's basketball coach after Thad Matta announced his retirement. Matta is 58 and returned to his alma mater 4 years ago. He did not have as much success this time around as the Bulldogs only went 39-55 in the Big East play and did not make the NCAA tournament. Matta most famously took Ohio State to the Final Four in 2007 and 2012. Butler says he will remain with the university as a special assistant to the president and athletic director. Okay, Wish TV is ready for March Madness, and we want you to join us in this year's Bracket Bonanza. You could win a Yeti Tundra cooler and beverage package. You can sign up right now at wishtv.com or just scan the QR code. If you go to wishtv.com, you'll find it there. Today is the last day to sign up. You'll even have a chance to compete against the staff here at Wish TV. I signed up. I'm no good, though, so you'll probably win. At the World Baseball Classic, Venezuela is through to the finals. They'll meet the United States tonight in the championship game at 8 o'clock. And this has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Wardell. Watch us on Wish TV and wishtv.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.